Hey folks, hope you're doing good today. Now we're doing the end of year roundup, checking out and remembering all the great bands that have been on the channel. Today we're going to remember the hardcore bands. Now none of these bands are the kind of classic hardcore sound or anything like that. I've gone for the kind of more modern stuff, more heavy, more metallic hardcore, because we've heard the classic hardcore, you know, it's classic. So there's no need to kind of recap those kind of bands because I don't think they're bringing a lot new to the table. They're just continuing on a great sound. So the bands we've got today are all kind of a bit more heavier, modern, metallic hardcore. This first band I want to mention is Year of the Knife. The track that we checked out was Virtual Narcotic. These guys are just a great, heavy, hardcore band. This is what they sound like. The sound, the thickness, the heaviness that you want from this kind of music. These guys have got a similar sound to a lot of the bands that I'm going to mention today because this is that super heavy, hardcore-y sound that's going on now. And I think it sounds absolutely dope. It's just heavy as hell, shouty vocals, big, thick guitar tones. And one thing they do nowadays is bring in a massive bass tone to make sure that the music in the low end is heavy as hell. And that's true for this next band that I'm going to mention as well. This band's called Worship. I really enjoyed these when they were on the channel. Again, just super heavy hardcore. Here we go. That's all you can say, really. Big fat guitar tones, big dirty bass tones as well. Doominess to these guys as well, kind of drawn out, at least that track that we checked out. I want to see some more of this band because, yeah, I think they had a really great sound. We'll move on to this next band. This is Sanction. Now, I think this is the track. Let me double check. Yeah, this track I only remember because the video was red and black. And I can never remember the name Sanction, you know. It's just not one of those names that sticks in my head. But I remember the video and I remember them being super heavy. And whenever I think, you know, oh, what were the heavy hardcore? I was trying to think, what are the heavy hardcore bands that have been on the channel? And I just remembered, oh, those guys in the red and black video, they were friggin' heavy. So that's how I remember these guys, and they are friggin' heavy. But yeah, we need to check these out more. We only had them on the show once. Nice poppy snare. All the bands today are heavy as hell. Dope. These guys are modern, got a nice tight guitar tone, heavy as hell, heavy bass tone, which brings that low end together. And just makes this modern kind of 2010 plus, 2015 plus hardcore real heavy. And now this next band, Moralsip, these guys taught me a lesson in the mix, or their mixer taught me a lesson in the mix anyway. For this track, the dude who did the mix made a video going through all his mix, talking about the different areas of the mix and what he did to them and kind of how he got the sound. And watching that video made me realize why these guys' sound is so friggin' heavy. Not only because he's done a great mix, but particularly because of the bass tone. And it really kind of taught me a lesson on how to create this super heavy, thick, fat, modern, hardcore sound. And the way you've got to do it is you've got to have a nice, tight, heavy, distorted bass tone. Now, what this mixer does is he splits the bass into two parts. He's got the low-end sub-frequencies as one track, and then he's got the high-end jangle and kind of distortion and fizz as another track, so he can use those separately and get as much of each one as he wants in the mix. It's a very cool way to do it. But what as well is the tone of his bass is just grisly but tight. And what I learned from watching this video and listening to this track is when you've got a tight, heavily distorted bass tone, and you can control the kind of mids and the lows of it as well, you can slot it in with the guitars and really pull the low end together differently to when you've got a kind of more looser bass tone or a more of a less distorted bass tone, more of a softer bass tone. It won't pull the low end together in the same way as when you've got actually almost like a guitar-y bass tone. So yeah, taught me a lesson, made me realize how you make this music super heavy, and it's all in the bass as far as I'm concerned. Well, that's the lesson I learned from it. So yeah, this is Moralsip, great track, super heavy, taught me a lesson. Let's check it out. If you listen out for it, bass just got a nice tight, distorted low end. Which makes it heavy as hell. Sounds great. Yeah, I enjoyed these guys a lot, and I enjoyed watching their mix video and learning a few things as well. Very, very cool. Now, this next band is called Resistor. This track is Dead Air. We didn't check this out too long ago, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed it very much. I thought they were a quality band. They had a good video to go with it as well. So yeah, let's remind ourselves what these guys sound like. Heavy. I do remember we had to turn these guys up a little bit, so let's do that, just so we get a nice loud. Yeah. These guys have almost got a bit of that full sound to their guitar tone. Nasty. Heavy, distorted vocals. Yeah, modern hardcore is heavy as hell. You can't argue with that. These guys, you know, they're making their mixes real heavy, distorted, shouty, loud vocals, big, massive guitar tones that punch you in the face. That bass tone, which pulls the low end together, makes it super heavy, and just big, massive drums all the time. So yeah, the modern hardcore, doing nicely. Now this band's called Concrete, and the track that we checked out from there had a nice blackened deathy edge to their hardcore as well, and that's a new thing for me and something I want to hear a lot more of in 2021. Blackened hardcore, especially if you're bringing a deathy edge as well, but particularly blackened hardcore. I just think that's a great mix of two styles. Give your hardcore that blackened evil edge to the music, a darkness and a kind of, you know, just that evil edge. So yeah, I think that's a nice mix with the hardcore. You get some kind of shadowy hardcore blackenness. Very, very cool. So yeah, I enjoyed this band a lot. Hopefully see them a bit more in 2021. Oh, we got a bit of an intro on this, so I'll just skip ahead. Quite an intro on this one, apparently. Here we go. Yeah, these tremmy riffs in there, deathiness. Nice chugginess as well, though. Yeah, I enjoyed these guys. They had a nice mix of styles and genres to come together to make a dark, nasty, brutal, hardcore track. Sick. Now, this next band's pretty sick as well. These guys are Polish. They got on the show quite a while ago now, and they've been following along ever since. Very, very cool. These guys, they call themselves grungecore because they're a mixture of kind of grunge and hardcore and kind of... I don't know, they've got their own style, these guys. So they're not really doing anything that sounds quite like anyone else. There's sounds and edges in there that you recognize, but in general, they don't sound like anyone else, I don't think. But they've got a great sound. They do all their own mixing at home and mastering and everything like that, and they know exactly what they're doing there because they've mixed a really great album. I reviewed their album, and I enjoyed every single track, but one thing I really noticed is how quality the mix was. You could hear all the members of the band great. It was nice and balanced, nice and loud and heavy. They had a great guitar tone as well because they use a Jazz Master with P90s run through I forget what amp it is now, the Neural amp I think it was, and it's just got a real distinctive stringy, real kind of unique tone to it, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty nice. So yeah, these guys, they're a bit different. They're not strictly hardcore, but they certainly go in with the hardcore bands, and I think they sound great. So yeah, check these guys out. It Follows. And the dude looks just like Brain as well. Yeah, you hear that stringy guitar sound, distorted, but also got a kind of cleanness, clarity to it. I think it's one of the nicest and more unique guitar tones we've checked out this year. You know, everyone's got a nice thick fat guitar tone, but to have a stringy guitar tone on a baritone Jazz Master with P90s. Yeah. These guys always put out a high quality video. They're really kind of ticking all the boxes that you need to be a quality band nowadays. They've got a quality mix and an original sound and vibe to the band, and they put out real high quality videos to go with their music. So yeah, very, very nice band. Great job. Now, this next band is called Gouge Out. We checked these out really a long time ago as well. I think it was back in March or April. So yeah, these guys have been with the channel a long time. Second I heard this band, I just knew that these guys have got the same influences for their metal that I have as well. That kind of Norma Jeannie, Poison the Well, mid to late 2000s hardcore vibe, panic chords and squealy dissonant riffs and stuff like that. You know, they just got all the good stuff going on. The vocalist has got a great tone as well, just the right tone for this kind of music. Lots of distortion on his vocal, and I thought it just sounded great. So yeah, these guys are cool.
You're just like an
He's got a great guitar tone. I like the amount of distortion on the vocal, I like the way he's working the vocal. Got a nice trudge to it. Got all the panic chords and stuff like that. Yeah, it's stuff you have heard before, but it's just cool sounding stuff, so it sounds cool as hell. Now, this last band is going to be my pick of the year since March. Of the bands that we've checked out on the show, I thought these guys kick serious ass. I've listened to their album and listened to the tracks again since listening to them on the show, and I just thought, yeah, these guys kick ass. And when I was having to remember the hardcore bands that have been on the show, these guys came straight to mind. So I thought, well, you know, if they're the first band you think of when you're trying to remember the bands, they must kind of been the best one of the year. Not the best one of the year, but the most rememberable one, the one that made me want to check them out more. And this is Soulkeeper. Now, these guys are heavy as hell, modern, got a nice modern mix, loud, wide, punches you in the face, all that good stuff. There's a nice amount of technicalness and mathiness in their music as well. You know, it's a bit offbeat and all of that stuff. So you get an interesting listen as well as getting absolutely pummeled by the music. So we'll do it like we did yesterday, as they're the kind of #1 band on my list. We'll listen to the whole track. This one's called Heavy Glow, so let's check it out.
my way, stating and blowing green like a flame. Crazy deep, convulsing violently, when it's deep from your blade.
Mixing it up. Drum is pretty nice. Got modern stuff going on in the mix.
With the ashes enough from your lungs, the crowd stays looking on the can change. What's done is done. Staring to the glow again, surrounding you. Feelings visible again.
Drummer mixes it up nicely.
Fading on you. The dust for the promise of love. Lost God of heaven, you poison your eyes.
Nice modern guitar tone as well. Heavy, fat, tight. Got a bit of gent into it. Some nice modern mixing elements, bringing in little samples and stuff like that.
Twisted and contorted shapes that don't make sense. You can't unlearn that. Overcompensate for guilt you burned and made ourselves to death the way we've earned it.
Life is pain. Pain is bliss. What thought you can have. Pain hurts.
Climbing up the mountain, always looking back. Why? You don't care. It's regret will drown it.
They got this random outro. Yeah, I think these guys kick ass. They got a nice, loud, wide, fat, heavy mix. Kicks you in the face. Nice, fat, tight, modern guitar tone to go with it. Big, heavy, weighty drums and big, washy cymbals. Heavy, distorted vocal. So yeah, I think these guys kick ass. And as I say, when I was trying to remember the hardcore bands that have been on in the channel in the year, these guys come straight to mind. So there you go. That's really how I started to compile this list, is who could I remember off the top of my head, who came to mind that we've checked out this year. And if you came straight to mind, particularly because I'm terrible at remembering names, as I say, I remember that one band just from the color of the video, red and black. But yeah, if you came to mind, if I remembered your video, if I remembered your sound, if I remember that I'd gone off and checked out your music afterwards or watched your mix video or something like that, you made this list today because I didn't want to just have a bunch of classic hardcore bands or things like that we've had on the channel, because I wanted to put on this list bands that are bringing something fresh and new to the table, modern hardcore, guys, you know, with a different kind of mix or a different kind of guitar tone or something like that. Just something, you know, that's out the ordinary for this style of music. I didn't want to just put a bunch of classic standard bands on this list, although we have checked out some great classic hardcore bands as well. So don't think I'm, you know, knocking on the classic hardcore. It's just I wanted this list to be new bands to find out with a new sound, with something fresh to, you know, catch your ear, something you might not have heard of before. So there wasn't really any point putting a bunch of classic hardcore bands on there, was there? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that today, guys. That's going to be the classic roundup. I think I'm going to do the death to metal tomorrow, because there's some really great bands on that death list. I've been loving the death this year as well. So hope you've enjoyed that, guys. Check these bands out. They're all great. And hopefully we get them on the show again in the new year with a bunch of new tracks to knock our ears off as well. So yeah, see you around, guys. Have a good day. Bye.